My name is Bridget Kimsey, and I'm presenting a talk on a Native Indigenous perspective on artificial intelligence coding differently. This dovetails on my first talk, a Native Indigenous perspective on AI, that I gave at the Mozilla Festival in March of this year, 2023. And this talk, this final draft version you are listening to, will be presented at Mozilla Fest in June in 2023 as well. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments in the chat box, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you. So my name is Bridget, and I am of both Lenape and Irish descent. I have been working inside of global Indigenous methods and Western scientific methods for 30 years in the fields of healthcare, research, writing, policy, and security. My training runs along the spectrum of human health, biology, chemistry, engineering, and physics. I work with different communities on various projects. I'm a published author, researcher, restructurer, and consultant, and I am working on my master's degree in the field of space studies and astronomy with an interest in working on my PhD in artificial intelligence. My professional goals are to continue to research, write, and work on projects and finding different ways of knowing in science, creation, and the nature of reality. Please feel free to visit me at my author's page or my website and to be in touch. Historical technology. All right. I hope that you are joining me having viewed my first AI presentation. But if not, that is fine. You can see that on the YouTube channel, or I'll just give some updates here. Human animals are one of the youngest species on Earth. There is debate, but I start the discussion with we are 300,000 years old. We have made it to this current point in time due to the advanced technology, advanced structural systems, innovation, resiliency, and expansion that our Indigenous ancestors learned in observing and working with the intelligence of the Earth, also of the nature around them, and much older species than them, creating structural systems that through trial and error worked and stood the test of time. Health for the human animal, community, other species, and the Earth itself. Creating structural systems that could be integrated with new information and technology as it came about, while keeping the original healthy Earth-centric matrix in place and following the laws of the universe. Here's just an example of my Lenape tribe going through many changes throughout time. On Lenape Hokan are lands of 10,000 years on the eastern seaboard of what is known now as the United States. Here are some examples in nature of the math, the universal language that is in everything, and the abundance of intelligence that is all through nature, through animals, through plants, the water, the trees. Here's just this quick slide on Indigenous technologies. So many out there, but I just wanted to highlight a few. So AI is indigenous to the human experience. In my first talk, I brought up the example of the complexity of animal traps. Pre-colonial AI is Earth-centric, learning and incorporating principles from the Earth and intelligence of, which then keeping all safe and healthy in the process. Now, current Western AI is based in a human-centric model. As the programmer and his or her whole self, subjective experience is used in creating AI. There is bias, light and dark sides, creating with shadow aspects coming out and driving, and which humans are paying for said programming. There is an agenda. Human-centric AI is focusing on what a company wants. It is capitalistic in nature. It has shareholder stakes. And there's not much concern for the impact on the human animal. Modern AI is created in part to weaken the human animal, to become more pliable, to get them to go with an agenda and creating less thinking for self, less questioning of their own thinking process, addiction, erosion, and blurring lines of human animals with living organisms and with machines. And how will this change the human animal over time? So for example, I brought up in my first presentation, when you hold a phone or a piece of AI equipment, you are interfacing with this device. Your energy is going into it and around it. It learns from you and you learn from it. I went in depth about the emotions, how it kind of stymies the evolution, the ebbs and flows of the human organism and animal as it's trying out new things. People have real attachments and love and strong emotions to their devices, computers, robots, and AI machines. There's also a peer-reviewed journalistic understanding of the addiction component of technology, and this includes AI. It's even driven by that in part for capitalistic standards that shareholders and companies have in creating more revenue for who is creating the AI or who is creating different products that humans are consuming. And of course, as many know, with the phones and getting more insular in oneself and less community-driven. So can AI be created that is Earth-centric, following the laws in our universe and that benefits? And can AI even help bring humans home to their Earth-centric laws of the universe ways that have been known for humans for 300,000 years, if not more? So even as modern humans and structural systems continue into their journey of divorcing from the Earth and Earth-centric ways and principles, can we program and code modern AI to be Earth-centric? Can we even go a step further and look into a future where modern AI actually helps modern human animals come back home to sound, proven Earth-centric laws of our universe principles? But let us come back to the programmers and coders. No matter the background or where they live, what can be done to help them in crafting a way of viewing the Earth, the human collective, other species of Earth, and our universe in a way that helps programmers code in an Earth-centric way? To be a programmer and coder in 2023 AD on Earth, with what will shape the human animal, shape our communities, and all structures, shape our environment and impact the Earth is sacred. It is not something to be taken lightly of what task they have before them. To always remember, you are coding for 7 generations ahead of you, and with the healing ability to help in healing 7 generations in the past. You are fundamentally altering reality for all as a coder and programmer. I'd like to take a step back and remark on the indigenous science, math, physics, algorithms, and structural systems of the Mayans. In viewing their intense advancement, such as they already knew and saw the birthplace of stars, and their calendars matched up with other Western sciences, they were able to do this while also honoring a lifestyle and approach that celebrated a decently healthy way of life for their citizens. So rich and multidimensional and advanced that it eludes most in the modern dominant culture to actually study it. But the parallel I draw here is that a culture can be very advanced in algorithms, coding, math, and science without trashing the human animal, their environment, and their community and their values. Just another example. I come now into examples of computer science education and how an IT department is run in 2 different Native nations and the impact. I highlight that if you wish to teach, train, or learn different ways of going about working with computers and coding, you might want to start with looking into other older cultures and how they are currently traversing this. It is, after all, just another newer piece of technology to plug into their already well-established, thousands of years old Earth-centric matrix that has sustained them for thousands of years in long swaths of time. This is one idea to pursue if looking to code differently than the modern dominant cultural capitalistic focus. All right. So looking at the computer science education at the Navajo Technical University, I can only speak from my experience and my brief looking into it. I attended in May the ACES Leadership Summit 2023 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and was able to attend a lecture by one of their teachers in their computer science department. And it was good to understand the emphasis on their language and culture, the maker's process, and how they are weaving this in, or I should say they are weaving in computers and technology and coding as a new part into their culture. Not something other, but they have been integrating technology and different advancements, again, for thousands of years already. So they do have some understanding about how to go about this. Another lecture and talk at the same conference I went to was speaking with the IT director of the Cherokee Nation and Reservation in Oklahoma. And it was really interesting about how the Cherokee community values, again, held for thousands of years, is very front and center with how they create software, how they interact with each other, how they interact with the tribe, how they interact with others outside of their tribe. These values are very integrated in all of their computer science, whether it's educating others or whether it is just developing needs for their community. What I experienced were just two examples, and there are many. For example, here's a slide on a new program offered in Edmonton, connecting coding to traditional Indigenous knowledge. Here's another one with programming language using Cree words and concepts. So again, when I just want to pause that when you're adding in, so advanced technology, systems, structural systems, innovation, this has all been around for 300,000 years. This is just another way to work with AI. AI was already being done with animal traps and other ways. And here's another way to apply AI and taking out some of the modern trappings so it doesn't become another way to colonize or attempt to colonize nature or peoples, but becomes an actual neutral way of support. But what to do if modern programmers of the current dominant culture do not have this Earth-centric matrix? And I give an image that I used in my other talk, which was, on the one hand, this is Lenapehoking, Manhattan, part of Lenapehoking, Manhattan being a Lenape word for place that is an island. Most people know New York City or Manhattan. And you can see that the different focus on different values will create different tools, a different structure for the human animal to live in and for other species. I'm not here to debate which one is better. But I am here to debate what is bringing the human animal greater health, greater sense of self, greater community connection, greater sense of purpose. How is the water? How is the land? How are other species? How will it look 7 generations ahead? And now with climate change, we do wonder if New York City will actually even be afloat, pun intended, unfortunately. But what can one do when the language, the brain development, and cultural lifestyle is coming from a capitalistic and human-centric approach, reaching into unconscious and subconscious arenas that the modern dominant cultural person may not even be aware of? Even if they try consciously to shift language or see things differently, like a fish in water, they are still marinating inside of an upbringing that has them pull one way over another. Coding, knowing something may be slightly off, but not sure, and without even realizing it, are perpetuating suffering and harm they can't see. So what options might there be? I've noted looking at older cultures already embedded for thousands of years in an Earth-centric approach that has a history of incorporating and navigating new technology. I continue now with another idea by looking at current neuroscientific research that shows that from the age of 0 to 7 years old, the human-animal brain develops depending on the mother tongue they learn, meaning there will be differences in brain development from a traditional Lakota speaker versus an English speaker versus a German speaker versus a Lenape speaker. Language is one of the backbones of how the human-animal brain develops, how we view the world, how we interact with the world, and much more. It goes deep in our construct. For example, even for one nation, they may say snow to describe the word snow, and another may have 50 different nuanced ways to say the word snow, incorporating many other facets and understanding of that one word and that one description of snow. So there will be differences on how a native Indigenous speaker views and codes AI and focuses differently than, let's say, an English speaker. And there are a number of articles. There's starting to be some journalistic endeavors and research being done here, but it's still, I think, fairly new. I posted here about how can Indigenous knowledge shape our view of AI? And that is something that can and should be taken to heart, I think. Another article, a new vision of artificial intelligence for the people. So this one was really interesting in interfacing with MIT and really looking at making sure that AI doesn't become a new form of colonialism and creating a new colonial world order. We've already seen this before happen. And repeating this in other realms is probably not going to benefit us if we look at objective data of what has happened in the last few hundreds to thousands of years from a colonial mindset. All right. So what can one do if one is coming from a Romance-speaking language to bring in options that get down into the human matrix physically, emotionally, mentally, and energetically to give new insight that might then impact programming and coding? So an Earth-centric AI model is listening, learning, and programming following tenets found in nature and laws in our universe. So with my background in Indigenous methods, healthcare, and Western scientific methods, I will outline a protocol that might help for any coder that is interested to see if after practicing the following technique for 3 months, their coding programming shifts. I'm honestly not sure, to be honest. I do know the powerful impact of meditation. There's a lot of peer-reviewed research on meditation and how it can help people of all different backgrounds and all different issues going on to have different views, elasticity. Well, I'll pause there because I could go on. But I offer here an idea for exploration. To be clear, this is an idea for anyone to follow of their own free will, and with any questions or concerns should be taken up with their own healthcare provider. Please feel free to just listen and or to participate. And for those truly interested in participating, I will be offering a follow-up discussion in 3 months to see how it has gone. I will also be available to touch base with if there are questions that arise through the 3 months. This is not a formal study, and this is not any advice. This is just an exploration that you may or may not find interesting to pursue yourself. So the goal is to shift the brain and or offer new insight to a more Earth-centric approach. to drop deeper into oneself, bypassing the colonized marination, going deeper and waking up to trusting oneself and the internal ancestral code linked to the earth already that we all as human animals carry. All right, so here's the technique each day practicing the following for 3 months. 1, centering self. So there are options of how to do this, something different than maybe what you are used to, perhaps shorter or longer in duration, keep it simple. And to note, one may just need to focus on this for a while if it's unfamiliar. One can also just pause here and just focus on meditating for 3 months. Well, not the whole time, but you know what I mean. Weaving it in for a few minutes or half hour each day. Seated, moving meditation, what is a good fit? There are enough studies that show the benefit of meditating on helping the brain come home to deeper structural tenets of human-animal health for self and in relating to others. But if you already have a practice or you're choosing to continue on, I will outline the rest of the technique steps I've outlined or tried to outline here. 2, once comfortable with daily centering self sessions, adding in writing, talking deeply, talking to self with series of questions you have, see your responses and hold that. Next, practice a breathing technique of your choice. And then open your eyes, taking notes on anything you experienced. Keep a log, jot down notes, images to help. Next, note if any action steps proposed that come from within you. Then explore the action steps, taking them or not. And finally, review and learn the section to note or think about. So this is an open-ended kind of idea, more or less, depending on where you are at the beginning here, of just working with leveraging the neuroplasticity that your brain has. So the technique can be applied in any order that suits you. The idea here is to drop a bit deeper into yourself in a patterned way, repeated daily for 3 months. Trusting yourself as well. If this is not something that speaks to you to try or to keep doing, just don't do it. But I'll read from this slide here, but leveraging neuroplasticity and trusting one's ancestral roots connected to one's health, groundedness, and laws of the earth and our universe. And when I talk about neuroplasticity, it is the term that refers to the brain's ability to change and adapt as a result of experience. The brain possesses the capacity to create new connections and reorganize pathways. So after 3 months, how are you? Any changes for you, how you view things? If you are a programmer, does your focus on coding shift a bit or not at all? From my time as a healthcare provider and educator for 30 years, I am aware of how most human animals are all the same and how most human animals are under such intense pressures internally and externally from many fronts and structural systems that do not work in anyone's favor. I've been blown away again and again by how hard humans are on themselves and how good most humans are. Reactive and reflective responses, addictions, often come from deep wounds, pain, trauma, and more, where no actual help is there or coming for them that they have been able to find. So I have a high regard for the human animal to know what truly works and to also know what truly is not working. At all of our roots is our deep inherited connection to the earth. All species here, the ancient intelligence in nature. I do believe for those that want to come home and code from there that it is possible, no matter the background, no matter the environment, and that it is also possible for AI to bring the human collective home as well. And finally, for those interested in participating in this 3-month exploration and liking to be included in the 3-month follow-up and or creating a group on this work, please be in touch with me directly on Discord or through email that I have listed here. One is also free, of course, to have just listened here or try it out on your own. I'm always available if you ever want to chat. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you so much for coming. I wish you the best and let me know if I can help in any way.